Greetings once again. It is time to talk about the Smoldy boy, the big boy Smolderon. Man, this fight is a banger. The way we killed it is really fun. I'm going to be showing our first kill in this video and also talking about it and talking about what we can do to optimize as Warrior. And let's just get into it, right? We're going to be running our single target talents, our single target setup, but here, I have seen a lot of people within the Warrior Discord talk about, hey, can I use Roar over Spear? I don't like Spear. I mean, I personally don't like Spear either, just because of how much it restricts you. But hey, can we use this? Can we use that? Most of the time, yeah, you can get away with it. You can't get away with it anymore. Not with Smolderon. Not with this boss. Because of how this boss works, because of its damage amps, you cannot get away with not running Spear of Bastion. It sucks and it's annoying. We'll mitigate it as much as we can. But quite simply, you're not going to be able to get away with it. In the last burn phase of this fight, when you're under 35%, when you have your last potion rolling, when you're using your Avatar, Spear, Recklessness, you are critting over 1 million per hit with Spear. And you can get 3 bloodbaths in a single Spear window. And outside of Spear, I think you're only going to be critting about 800k instead. So I've crit up to 1.2k, or 1.2 mil inside of Spear within the last burn phase of Smolderon. And then after my Spear ran out, in the execute phase, because of Vicious Contempt, I was only critting like 820 to 820 to 850k, which means, by a rough estimate, being generous at the same time, every single Bloodbath cast that you have with the damage amp and the Spear of Bastion combo, if you are running Roar instead of Spear, you are losing 200k minimum per Bloodbath cast. Which means every minute and a half, you are losing roughly 600k damage. Which is simply not acceptable. Especially for a boss that requires as much DPS as you can give it. So, let's actually get into the fight and talk about it. For trinkets, on this video, you're going to see me using Might of the Ocean. I was kind of curious to see how well Might of the Ocean would sync up with the minute and a half damage amp windows, but the more I look at it, and the more how I've just kind of feely craft, I think I would prefer running a damage trinket like Razan's Gleaming Eye. I run Might of the Ocean and Augury here, but Signet Brand and Razan's Gleaming Eye are definitely my top 2 trinkets for this fight, just because a static damage trinket will also do damage that's amplified during the damage phases, and just having more strength and all that kind of stuff, going all in on these bonus damage phases while also losing essentially the passive strength and the passive effect from the Signet Brand or Razan's, I think is an overall damage loss compared to Might of the Ocean on this fight, so I would recommend those. But before we even can start the video, we need to talk about potion usage. And we need to talk about cooldowns, and we need to talk about potion usage. So how should we use our cooldowns? During this fight, this is how long the fight lasts. And this fight lasts and has about a 7-minute enrage, which means up to the 7-minute mark, most skills are probably going to be killing it, maybe to the 6.5-7-minute range, especially on their first kills. Which means we are going to be able to get 2 potions in the fight. Now, where do we use them? This is tricky because this fight has damage amps. So, because of that, looking through logs, seeing what's probably best, we're going to be using our potion here and here. This is the 1-minute mark, and this is the 6-minute mark. Because at 1 minute, or at the 1-minute mark, we are getting our first damage amp. And at 6 minutes, I don't remember if we are getting a damage amp here, but we are also having our cooldowns up if we use them correctly throughout this fight. So we're going to be using our potion at 1 minute, and at 6 minutes. And I will talk about the potion usage during the fight with the video so it makes more sense. I messed up, and I used my potion off the rip here, right off the start of the pull. But I would save your potion to use within the first intermission phase. Now, our opener here is a little different than what we normally would do. It's a little faster. Because we need to line up our avatar spear windows with these damage amps to get as much value as possible, our opener is basically going to be Odin's Fury into Avatar Spear. So you see I do Odin's Fury, 1 Rampage, Avatar Spear. I'm honestly not even sure if that 1 Rampage is worth it in the grand scheme of things. It might even be better to just Avatar Spear instantly, but it seemed to line up anyway, so do your Odin's Fury Recklessness, 1 Rampage, Avatar Spear instantly. Dancing Blaze doesn't matter. The debuff on the boss doesn't matter for that extra 4 seconds. You need this on cooldown coming up. Also, to note, I am not going to talk about the encounter here. I'm mainly going to be talking about specific things warriors can do. There are a little bit of tricks there, and there's honestly not many tricks. This fight is very straightforward. It is just do the mechanics. You'll get a heal absorb. When the heal absorb falls off of you, there'll be stuff on the ground that you can't stand in. You see these tornadoes? Don't be hit by the tornadoes. I just got hit by a couple tornadoes. Getting hit by tornadoes in the first phase is fine, but as the fight goes on, these tornadoes are incredibly, incredibly deadly. So, realistically, in this fight, you just have to be a gamer. When I'm sitting in the middle of a bunch of tornadoes and I dodge like 4 or 5 tornadoes and they're just going past me and I'm just standing still because I know I'm in a safe spot, I feel like fucking Jason Bourne, man. Like it's the guy it's in the movie. He goes, "Oh, Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne." That's how I feel. But here's the first thing we need to talk about that's not warrior specific, but it will kill your whole raid. It is the Seeking Inferno orbs. These orbs, you need to, you can see that there is a vulnerability, a damage taken. If these orbs pop within 3 seconds of each other, your whole raid dies. Your whole raid will simply die. So, our job, don't die to shit on the floor. Don't die to tornadoes. If we get the orb, wait till your raid leader calls it. Your raid leader will generally be this guy, this guy, this guy, because it's a very important mechanic. And our next goal, what we should do, is we should be good at baiting. There are situations where, let's say here, the geysers are coming up, and we want to be over here as far as possible. But pushing into these people, hitting them with our tornadoes, hitting them with our AoE, that's not ideal. That's not how we should play it. If you can't get back to the fire here, and you're in a bad spot, just go to the edge of the room. Go as far out to this edge as you can. Because if you drop tornadoes here, or if you drop fire here, it's way better than dropping it in here, right? Now here comes the first warrior-specific thing. This is the Devour Essence mechanic. After you get hit by the Tank Soak, everybody here is hit by the Tank Soak, right? It spawns orbs that give you a plus damage and healing amp phase. But you'll notice that a lot of the time, if you're just attacking this boss normally, even on Heroic, these orbs are going to be, you're going to get this damage amp, these damage amp orbs, but your cooldowns aren't going to be up. So how do we deal with that? Quite simply, we just need the orbs to be farther away from us. So here is how we deal with it. Also to note here, this is roughly when you're going to use your potion. So when your cooldowns are at about... You know what? We have a tool for this. There's a great tool for all of you to learn better timings for your cooldowns. Called Lorgs. You can go to Lorgs, you can pick Fury, you can pick your fight, Smolderon Mythic. Go Oh, here's where people use their stuff. Well, where do they use their potion? Some people use it on pole here, and then they hold it, and they use it in the 6-minute here. But we can zoom in and see that they have used their potion at within the minute 10 to minute 20 mark. Why is that? Why are they using their potion then? They're using their potion then at the minute 10, minute 20 mark because our shit is still on cooldown. We are going to be dropping... You know what? Okay. I've gotten far ahead of myself. There's so much going on that I have gotten ahead of myself here. So let's step back, take a deep breath, and go at things one by one because I'm going a bit too much into it. It's too much. So the first thing that we're going to do in the first and second intermission is we need to position ourselves for these orbs. Because our cooldowns are such out of sync with the timers for these intermission phases, we need to get our orbs as late as possible. So we have the damage amp available to us in our cooldowns. So I didn't go out a little quick enough, so I got knocked right about here. But personally, these runes here, I like to get knocked right about this mark. Because if you're about here, you'll get knocked almost fully to the edge. And then where you drop is where you drop your orbs. And to note, the first World in Flames, this cast, is always going to be 5 seconds. It is going to be longer than you think it is. So you still have time to charging it back to the boss. Right? Okay. We've talked about dropping our orbs. Now, we need to talk about our potion usage. So, going into this fight, when your cooldowns, when your avatar and spear have about 10 seconds left on the cooldown is when you want a potion. So right here is when you would potion, right? When you're running out to get your orbs in this situation, because the boss is about to do a 1-2 circle, this is when you would potion, when you're running out here. To note as well, in Mythic, these positions of every single intermission phase are static. So you'll always do the same thing in every intermission phase. Well, the intermission phases themselves aren't the same, but each intermission phase is a static pattern. So you'll be able to get used to it. It is not random. So we will have our potion rolling for this damage amp. We'll be going back into the boss and doing as much damage as we can. And now here is where we're going to be using Enrage Regeneration. Right now, all of our cooldowns are coming back up. Our potion is rolling. We have a huge damage amp. We're just about to slam everything on the ground. So what do? When this World in Flames is about to cast, you'll use Enrage Regeneration and then tank the hit and heal yourself through the existing dot. Because we need to use this damage buff with our spear and everything else to get as much damage in as possible. There's not many good times to use Enrage Regeneration in this fight. Some people I've seen talked about using it to remove this Tank Soak debuff, for example. I do not use my Enrage Regeneration for anything else early in the fight, but to get that damage in on the boss. In the later phases of the boss, every time the boss goes into the intermission phase, it gains this debuff here called Heating Up, which means every intermission phase, the boss is doing 10% more damage. So for the later tank soaks that are very dangerous like this, I would recommend using Enrage Regeneration, but for these early ones, use it for that big damage lineup. It is not worth your time. One thing that will help you a lot, I'm used to it, so I haven't turned my camera. But honestly, just like Naimu, pop down your camera when you're dealing with tornadoes. Every single tornado, when they come out, have these little lines that pop, which you'll see. So the debuffs pop, and there's lines. So I can see there's tornadoes going here, 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 here. So right here is a safe spot. There's also no explosive thing on the floor. So that's where I'll go stand. I don't have to do anything. They'll all go by me. It's a bit easier to see if you have a top-down view But when you're used to it, you can do whatever. Once again, you move back to do your baits. And this is also another important thing that you need to keep in mind of. You'll come back to bait as much as you can. And these little portals spawn the orbs that explode that I talked about earlier. Do not stand by these. If you stand by these, there is a chance, however small, that the orb you're standing on will fixate you. And then you instantly pop it, and you instantly break the momentum of the raid. And it's possible that if someone else is already ready and called to pop their orb, you could instantly wipe the raid like that. We've had it happen a couple times. It probably will happen a couple times in Prague. It sucks. Try not to be the guy that makes it happen. Now, once again, we're getting into stage 2. You'll notice our cooldowns are actually closer than they were the first time. However, because it's still a long ways out, what we want to do is drop our shit the same distance we did before. And how I know where I like to drop things is I go by the rings. This little inner circle, ring 1, ring 2, right here, ring 3, ring 4, ring 5. You want to be about 20% into ring 4. So about right here, where I got knocked, to drop your orbs. I have tried to move a little farther out to min-max where I'm dropping them, but it's not worth the risk. If you go too far out because you're finicky or trying to be like, maybe I can juice a little more, don't do it. If you will get knocked over the edge into this lava, and you will die. You will just die. If you get knocked into this lava from this stomp, you're dead as shit. So do not do it. Once again, the first World in Flames cast is 5 seconds long, so you have time to get back in. And now here our orbs come. Every time we go to pick up our orbs, it's going to be a 1-2 circle. So because we're going to have to get off the boss anyway, this is also a great time for us to pick up our orbs. Our cooldowns are about to come up. But here is the next big change with these intermissions, right? Right after this, only the middle is going to be safe. So I just pop this and do as much damage as I can. But after this, only the outer ring, ring 5, is going to be safe. So have your portal toy ready. Do as much damage as you can. You can juice this a little bit, but to be safe, at a bare minimum, you need 1.5 seconds to get out. 1 second is as much time as you realistically need to take the portal. But be safe. Dying here is stupid. Don't do it. At about the 1.5 second mark, you take the portal out, because I'm just trying to juice my spear a little more. And then you leap back in, because now only the middle is safe again. And that is how we're playing the second intermission. But because these intermissions are coming at like 120 or like 110 intervals, which is kind of weird to our cooldowns slowly sync up with the intermission as everything goes. So once again, we come here, dodge, dodge, dodge. This is actually one of my favorite movements to do. It is one of the safest things you can do as well, which is after you dodge, you can go, and these circles explode. You can walk into someone's circle and use their circle that was previously unsafe as a safe spot. Be careful, though, because they spawn 5 tornadoes around them. Don't walk into their tornado. Don't walk into the tornado. Because the boss is getting an increasing damage amp, these things are going to get closer and closer to just straight up killing you. So don't walk into a tornado, all right? And right about here, how your raid is going to feel after you've progged this for a little bit is you're going to tell everybody's alive. The baits have been good. The boss is at about 45%. Your raid's going to start to feel a little antsy. People are going to get a little antsy. Don't do that. Don't be antsy. Just chill. Make sure you're dodging shit. Take your time, right? Even these geysers here, we're not back here towards the circle, towards the other fire, but we're baiting to the very far outside, right? We're baiting to the far outside, trying to make sure they don't go towards the middle. And this right here is a danger spot. I was called to soak mine first, thankfully, so it made it very easy to me. But if you leap through your orb, you can pop it. So don't think you can just leap over it and be fine. If this is a situation you're in, and your raid leader calls you, or calls somebody else to soak because I stayed too close to the orb, go all the way around, man. It's not worth killing your entire raid to try and keep a little uptime. And now we go into the third intermission. This intermission is different from every other intermission. First of all, our cooldowns are only 15 seconds away. So we're going to be able to get that damage amp earlier. You only have to go out to, I'd say, the edge of the second circle most of the time, right? So about here is fine. But your cooldown, you'll be able to go get everything and then have your cooldowns running for this set. The first World in Flames is 5 seconds. This is where we lust. But every subsequent, I think is the right word. Every one of these is going to be 3 seconds instead. You have 1 less second to be safe here. Make sure you get safe. This catches people all the time. And in this intermission, there's going to be another everybody in, everybody to the outer ring. There's going to be another one. So be careful and play safe here. Before you pop your cooldowns, make sure you grab your orbs. And now we see here, even if we used our potion off the rip, because of how it times out with this sequence, because how our cooldowns line up after using our shit off of the start of the boss, our potion is still going to be on cooldown for this damage amp phase. This is why we use our potion at about a minute 10 to a minute 20 into the fight. Because it's not going to be up for this anyway. It's not going to be up for this lust window if your raid lusts this. So because of that, we will use it on the last set of our last set of cooldowns. Okay, I lied. There's not a in then out on the third intermission set. I lied. There is one on the final one. But now here, let me turn the volume up. You'll hear my raid team get a little antsy. I'll turn the volume on for this.
Plenty of room here, so
just don't drop it on the monk statue and we're fine.
Boss is very dead if no one dies.
Just drop in a safe spot. Just drop in a.
Yeah, everybody, play safe. Play safe. Play safe. Everyone's feeling antsy at this point, right? But to note, we did get 2 orbs in, so the boss is doing 10% damage on top of the 30% damage it's already doing. You need to be very, very careful here. On this last set, when you do the tank soak, I think I do it as well. I will use Enrage Regeneration here to be as safe as possible. And do not get hit by tornadoes. Sorry, I need to mute this again. Do not get hit by tornado. Wait, I thought I muted this. What the fuck? Being hit by tornadoes in this phase is a big, big no-no. You will die. Play safe, play safe, play safe. We had a bad bait here, but that is totally fine. We will still have plenty of space to deal with. And all you need to remember is your team's going to feel antsy. You're going to feel that energy, right? This is the same boss over and over again. P1, P2, P1, P2. If you've got this far, everybody's alive, you've already done this shit twice already. It's just doing a little more damage. Don't panic. Don't freak out. Just do the mechanics. Do your job. Hit the boss. Don't die. See here, I use my Enrage Regeneration to get the healing absorb off and just reduce the damage from the tank slam, because it does a ton. Dodge, 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 dodge. Dance, dance, revolution. And now we have the final setup of soaks into the fight. Our cooldowns will be about 10 seconds out. So we can drop our orbs kind of where we did previously. We can just drop them here. This intermission, however, does have the everybody in, everybody out soak. So be mindful of that. And it is back to 4 seconds. But this boss is doing a ton of damage. Here, if this was 3 seconds, I was dead. I didn't remember what the pattern was, and I stayed too long in. You see me pop Spell Reflect, because I'm hoping that saves my ass. But the boss has 5 orbs. It is doing 25% increased damage on top of its 45% increased damage. This boss is doing a ton of damage to us. So here is the out. Everybody back in. And because this is our first kill, we have our stupid nerd screams, all that crap. I was dead fucking tired on this kill. Like, actually dead tired here. I'll move my camera so you can see my face below me. But I was so tired on this kill. And you'll just see my face the whole time. But enjoy the final little part. And then I want to talk a little bit about the boss and do a little story time after.
DPS. Get protein medic, get protein medic, get protein medic, get protein medic.
Working on
Someone,
it.
please. Okay, just... We'll call for the darkness. Just... Healthstone. Use immunities now, honestly. Just to stay alive.
No,
Let them do
No.
do not do that. And pop everything now.
Hellstone immunities.
Let's go. Yes,
Guys.
yes.
Good
Fuck,
job.
Thank you guys
Fucking
so
job.
much for not making me the reason why we didn't kill
Good
this. Oh my
fucking job,
God.
guys. That was
Oh my
fucking
God.
sick, man.
Hey.
Excellent job.
I know we were here 3 days, but
Oh,
2 of them were half days, so we 2-day prog that boss, Matt. Like
I
by
had 71,000
well done.
damage stolen from me.
How many pulls was that? That's all I had.
Alright. So, little story time. You heard Air, our warlock, say thank you for making him not be the reason why we didn't wipe. We actually had another pull before this. That was about 10%. We were kind of at the same mark with more people alive. But somebody died with the orb. And when someone dies with the orb mechanic, it relocates to somebody else. So, because it's relocating to somebody else, and if you need to pay attention, because you get fixated. So, someone else died. He then got fixated from the orb, and then it just boop, boop, it just blew everybody up at 10%. He was so sad. Oh, I felt so bad, man. But we killed the boss. Everybody's super happy. Our loot was terrible. Our loot was absolutely dog. Double Warglaives. Ugh. Absolutely terrible loot. But this fight is a lot of fun. There's definitely a dance you can learn, but realistically, you just gotta be a gamer. You gotta be a gamer on this fight. Because of how the tornadoes come in, there's soaks under your feet, there's baits to do. This is a very individual-based performance boss. And if your team members on an individual level are good players, it will speed up your prog significantly by not being hit by tornadoes, by just dodging, by keeping up time, by doing damage to the boss, yada, 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 right? But just as a reiteration to go over the important warrior-specific things on this fight is use your cooldowns within the first... Use both of your cooldowns within the first 3 to 5 seconds of the fight to get them on cooldown. On intermission 1 and 2, we are going to the 4th ring and dropping our orbs to the far outside so they line up with our cooldowns and we can do more damage. At about a minute 10 to a minute 20 into the fight, about 10 let's say about 10 to 15 seconds before our cooldowns come up in the first intermission, that's when we'll be using our first potion. And then we'll be using our next potion around the 6-minute mark, or a little after the 6-minute mark, with our final set of cooldowns to do as much damage as we can to kill the boss. Other than that, good luck hunting this guy. He is a ton of fun. This is the first pseudo wall we hit in this raid. We're already progging on Tendril, and Tendril's pretty rough too. Or Tendril's way rougher than this fight. Because you saw how many people we had dead, and we still killed it at the 7-minute enrage mark. But I am super happy with us killing this boss. Reclear is going to be a lot of fun. And I hope you guys have fun fighting this guy as well. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a good one. I'm sorry that this video is 30 minutes long. I like talking about bosses, man. It's fun. And so that's just what I'm going to do. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a good one, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.